Welcome back to another video. If this is your first time on the channel, my name is Preston Ruth. I was a Division I runner at the University of Tennessee, and I now post content for high school and college runners, as well as those looking to begin their running journey. This video marks the beginning of my new series called Tips from a College Runner, where I go in depth on different running topics and give advice on them. So today's topic is all about recruiting. I'm going to give insight on a topic that has been widely asked about on the various platforms that I post on. So one of the main questions I get is about recruiting. Recruiting can be overwhelming, it can be stressful, but I believe if you know the game and understand what you want to get out of a school, then it can be a lot easier and not as hard as you think. So first is going to be the factors that affect recruiting. So the first one is going to be performance. Times are going to speak for themselves. Coaches and teams have standards, and for the most part, you either hit them or you don't. If you hit those standards, great, then that's a school that you can reach out to. If you don't, then let that fuel you, but in the meantime, look for schools that are going to be a better match for your current ability. The second big factor is going to be connections. Who you know matters. That's how this world is run. Track is a very connected world. Most likely your high school coach knows a guy who knows a guy who's a coach at this school and can likely get you a visit or offer. Take advantage of those connections. Now, if you're someone watching and you feel like you don't have connections, go out and make them. Now is the perfect time to practice for the real world where it's so important to build that network around you. And the third is going to be potential. You have to remember that you are an investment for these coaches. They want a return from year 1 to year 4. They want someone that can come in, that they can mold, that they can get better. As much as performance is important, potential is just as important. So some other tips. First of all, be proactive. It's so easy to get overlooked. So make sure you're exhausting every option. That was sending emails, DMs on Twitter, filling out questionnaires. The second thing is don't be a liability. Do not let your grades or your behavior keep you from reaching your goals. It's so sad, but I saw way too many guys miss out on scholarship opportunities because they didn't take care of their grades or they were acting a fool. Okay, this is one of the biggest tips, is figuring out what do you want in a school. So you have to figure out what matters for you in a school. Is this location? Is this finances? Is this a specific academic major? You have to remember you're recruiting them as much as they're recruiting you. Don't waste your time going back and forth with a school you don't really see yourself going to. With that being said, also do research on where your times are going to place you on the current roster. So there's a site called TFRRS where you can look at the performance list of basically any school in the country. Coaches also aren't going to waste their time on somebody that's not going to be able to come in and be competitive on their current roster. And again, I'm not telling you to not have big goals or go chase them, but you have to be realistic on what school is going to be the best fit for you. A PSA, D1 is not for everyone, and that's okay. But be able to drop your pride and look to a D2, a D3. Sometimes those schools will be a better fit for you. So once you have in mind your ideal factors, you can use Google and research universities that are going to match this. Schools and their track team are going to have websites, so you're going to be able to get insight into if they match these factors. Once you do this research, then get a targeted list of schools, and now you're ready to reach out. So how to reach out? You're going to do this through email. The purpose of the email is to show a school that you're interested in coming to run there. The goal is to have a coach show interest back through the extension of an offer or an invite to take a visit. Now, there's two types of visits. There's unofficial and official visits. With unofficial visits, you pay for everything. These are going to be more casual, probably only a day. I took an unofficial visit to Tennessee my senior year. That was my first visit with them, and it was just to meet with the coaches to talk about what it would take for me to run on their team. Now, official visits. These are going to be paid for by the university. You're going to have a host, a hotel room. They're going to be a couple of days, and you're going to have some sort of itinerary of fun events where the team is going to show you what college life is like there, what the campus is like, and you're allowed 5 of these visits. I took 4 of them my senior year. Now, back to the email. You want to be direct, you want to be concise and straightforward, and you want to be mature and professional. This starts with a professional subject line. For me, it would say Preston Ruth Recruiting Overview. I would then get into my body of my email saying, Dear Coach, last name. My name is Preston Ruth. I'm a senior in high school. I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee, and I run these events. I'm emailing because I'm interested in coming to run at your school. I would love to set up a call sometime to talk more about this. Best, Preston Ruth. And then I would have my contact info, my test scores, my times. I would have a link to my mile split. So this is an easy way for them to go look at my times for running. This is a great website link to attach. With this email, do not be super lengthy. Coaches only have so much time. So if you're hoping that they respond and that they show interest back, send them an email that is going to be very direct, where they can read it and in 10 seconds get an idea of what your point is. And finally, do not email the head coach. Email the assistant coach. The assistant coach is more likely in charge of recruiting, building the future team out. They're more likely to respond if you email them. Now, once you reach out, be patient, be consistent with your communication, and over-communicate. Especially if you hear something back and a school has shown interest, then over-communicate. Continue to foster that relationship because it's going to pay off if you're hoping to get an offer. So, my story. Back in 8th grade, I set the goal to run D1. That was kind of my big goal I set. And my sophomore year of high school, I ended up reaching out to about 150 schools. It was way too early to reach out, and I didn't have the times for any of those schools, really. A lot of those schools did not respond, or they either sent back scholarship or walk-on standards. Those emails were not concise, they were not professional, and I learned a lot from the mistakes I made in those early emails. Now, fast forward to my senior year, that summer, I get an email from Tennessee. They show some interest, so I set up a call, and then I have my first visit with them. It was unofficial in August of my senior year, and then I take an official visit in November of that year. Both those visits, they told me I still needed to drop time. So I quit basketball, and for 3 months, I trained by myself. I dropped the time and got an offer in February of my senior year. I committed in March, and I look back and I have no regrets. I mean, obviously I could have done some things differently in how I reached out in the early stages, but I look back, I shot my shot, I showed my interest, I over-communicated, and I used my resources. I worked my butt off and I got those offers. So everyone's journey is different. Don't get stressed because the people around you are where you think you should be. Continue to work hard, stick to the process, and have faith that you'll land where you need to land. It's all going to work out. And sometimes it might even be the school that you least expect. But that's all my tips for recruiting. It can be a bit of a lengthy process sometimes. Sometimes it can be stressful, it can be overwhelming. But I promise that if you can use these tips and you figure out where you want to go and what schools are going to fit you, it's going to help make this process a whole lot easier. Be sure to stay tuned for this series because next week I'm going to talk about the highs and lows of college sports and the reality of college athletics. So be sure to stay tuned. Again, if you've not subscribed to the channel, be sure to do that now. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you all next time.